Word on this computer. Okay, we're up and rolling. I don't think we have anybody at home, but just in case, those here are Bill, Tom, Chuck, Frank, Bob, Kathy, Lynn, Helen. Did I get you? Everybody? Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, what's left of him?
Okay, so we have on May 4th, which is the first Saturday in May, from 1 to 3, we're gonna have a reception here. There'll be an announcement in the church's email that goes out every week that it's up and running. Please stop by and look. And I guess that's all I have to do.
Well, and the only thing I would add is that Lynn and I have been here for a couple of events, of church events. And even the day that we were hanging the photos, there were people from the church that were coming through and talking about how nice the room looked. And there are too many meetings to count that occur during the week, in this room and others. The meeting that precedes ours cornered Chuck about one of his photos just today as she came out of the meeting. So people are seeing them. They may not be outside folks, but spread the word to your friends. And there will be an announcement this Thursday in the church newsletter. So, go ahead.
I'll be forced to be at the Outer Banks.
I was gonna say, on Saturdays this month, the School of Athens, I don't know if you've heard of it. They're doing some,
Athens, Georgia?
no, I don't, they're doing some program on some Greek mythology.
Oh, so probably not Athens, Georgia.
I can't remember, anyway, so it's people from outside the church, I imagine there'll be a lot of people here on Saturdays for that, so. There are meetings in here, there, all sorts of things all the time, there are people in this space, so it gets seen.
And one nice thing is that Sunday school has moved out of this room, and it is in a room over on the other side. So there's less stuff that didn't really distract from anything, and they still have a few things to move around as well. Okay, any other announcements? Lynn, I'm sorry, Helen.
I was just gonna remind folks, there's 6 or 7 of us, about half of us, still don't have Facebook or Flickr accounts, and I'd love to see as many of us as we possibly can be a part of the conversation that we hope to establish when we get everybody involved in that. A lot of us are on trips today. I know 4 that we're missing that are out of town, but if you can get involved with Facebook, or preferably Flickr, that would be great. And you should have the IDs.
Helen, was that from the last list I sent you? Okay.
Frank keeps the list up to date, sends it out via email, so you should have the ID to look at everybody else's account.
Mhm.
And you should be able to get in the club account and look at pictures that people have put on that site, which may differ from their personal site.
Okay, and if you need help getting on Flickr, it doesn't cost anything. Just holler at one of us and we'll get together and make sure that you get on. Let's see, I think, Kathy, are you on Flickr yet?
It's literally on my to-do list.
Okay, well, I think everybody here today we're preaching to the crowd. So everybody
I'm
here.
just keeping down my keyboard time, just because my,
Yeah, well, if you need help, holler.
as much as I can, on my hand is up.
All right, Bill.
Okay, I really didn't have anything planned, but since I did something yesterday, I thought I'd share at least.
Something that I don't think many here have probably used is time-lapse photography. So what I did, I decided to go over to Farrington Village and set up one of my cameras on a tripod overlooking the goats and the chickens to see during the eclipse if they had a behavioral change. And what I did is I set the camera to take an image. Now I had to put it on movie mode so it became a movie when it came out. And I told it every 5 seconds, take an image. And then it compresses them all together into a video. So I did that for about 30 minutes. So from 30 minutes before the maximum eclipse to the maximum, I videoed. And it'll be interesting because when they talked about it, it's like it was an 83 or 85% coverage. Now I remember back in 2017 when it was 93%. So I didn't think there was going to be much difference. But what I do have here is I can flip back and forth to show what it was 30 minutes before, then at the time of the maximum coverage.
Billy, you want me to turn the lights on?
Yeah,
You know, the thing that astonished me about, I expected it to at least get less bright out when we were at the maximum amount. The only thing that we noticed was a cool breeze. I don't know if anybody else
Yeah,
noticed
well,
that.
I didn't feel the breeze, but I did notice, it was like I was looking through a real light gray neutral density filter, kind of grayish.
And I was gonna make this announcement too, but you have evidence of it. I found a simple adjustment for the color on the screen. And if you look at my screen now and look at what's up there, it's darn close. And it was just clicking a menu. That was all that it was.
On the TV?
On the TV, there's an HDR effect in the TV, and that's what I set it for.
Oh, cool.
But it is awfully, awfully close.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Bill.
okay, so this is 30 minutes before. Let's see. And it started getting dark.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Much more than I noticed myself.
So,
Yeah.
To me, it didn't seem to get that much darker.
yeah,
Yeah.
there, again, versus 30 minutes before, which already had some coverage.
Yeah.
Cool, that's amazing.
That
Yeah.
We didn't sense
Very
that.
cool.
Yeah.
How many seconds?
Every 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
That's a 6-second video, but each one that I captured was 5 seconds apart.
So the cattle look like they were taking a nap, or the goats, whatever they are.
That's right.
You can see the behavior of the animals. Watch. What are they doing? What are they doing?
They all clustered.
Oh, yeah,
Now, Farmer Bob came by. They would have noticed anything, because the one that I did back in 2017, I did a much longer one, and there was nobody around to disturb them. And they're just doing what they normally do. And I guess it would have had to be like a total eclipse for them to really.
In order, yeah, for it to be blocked out completely.
Right. So what's interesting on this is, I know on a D750 Nikon, you can set this up by telling it how many images you want to take and how many seconds between each image. With my D850, it was setting up how long you want it to run, and then you go back and tell it how many seconds. But it's I had to go to manual because you don't want anything automatic on it, because as it gets darker, it would change the settings to become lighter and lighter.
Yeah.
So
You
you
want it to be accurate.
have to just
right,
set it to manual, find,
right.
take an image and it says, oh, that's what it looks like out there. And then you just wait, and there's a start button on the menu you hit, and it just starts doing it. So
Yeah,
I was with my other camera, trying to find other pictures while this thing was just clicking off on the tripod, and my vibration reduction was turned off.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can do this. You You can have it sit out there all day if you want, just, you know, set it up so it's a little smoother than this, maybe takes images a little more frequent. But this was 30 seconds by 12, so, you know, somewhere between 300 and 400 images were combined to go into this. And the battery, because I used my D850, which is not a mirrorless camera, I used almost not even 20% of the power.
Okay.
Now, if I had used the Z8, which is mirrorless, that would just start consuming the battery like crazy, because it'll be always on.
Apparently, I can do this on my Sony too.
Yep. And, which is gonna bring me to another point that I'm gonna, maybe on the next meeting. Because of the Z8 and being mirrorless, it does consume a lot of energy. And I have a backup battery, which I got a third-party battery, which I'm not sure treated me real well. Frank and I were at a farm with another camera club last week, and something just didn't seem right about it. But there's something called a power bank. And what's interesting about a power bank is you can bring it to full charge, and you can send the power to your camera, or you can recharge a laptop, or you can recharge cell phones, all from this little power bank that just has a bunch of energy. And
How big is the unit?
just a little one. There's some that are bigger that hold a lot more power, but
I would say if you're looking at power banks, because I have one for doing like those long overnight exposures, but you have to make sure that it has the right output, because it took me a while. I bought a power bank or two, and it's like, that's not the right one, and I forget the amount, but you're, somewhere in your camera specs, it'll tell you what your camera, you know, what the camera usage is in terms of amps, and you gotta make sure that you get a power bank.
yeah, because I checked it and said, you know, I went and looked at power banks that were compatible with this, because there's 3 different connections on the back. One that is at a higher rate of energy that would be for, say, laptops, then lower ones for either into the camera or into cell phones. Or
And you can't hurt your device if you plug it into one that delivers more power. It's not going to hurt it. It's going to have a restricting.
Yeah. But I ordered it, and I should have it by the end of the week, so maybe next time I'll just bring it by and just, you know, it's one of those things that could be used for anything. It doesn't have to be photography, you know.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden power went out for an extended period of time, your cell phone started going down, you just plug them in and power them right back
So
up.
it's wired.
I'm sorry the animals didn't perform better.
Yeah, well, it was just nice being out there. And as I was going home, I passed by the area by the goat where the canopy used to be, and this would have been the picture to get. People sitting there, I think Frank was one of them, looking up at the sun like this, you know.
I had eclipse glasses, and on the inside there were directions, one of which said, do not use for more than 3 minutes continuously.
Oh, had the glass.
I had no desire to look up.
Oh, I did, it was.
My neighbor brought over, I was working in the air, my neighbor brought over a pair of those glasses, and I looked briefly, and it was pretty cool. And then a friend set up a thing at the Council on Aging at Linton with my tripod, actually. He had a whole big setup, and I saw some of his images. It was pretty cool.
Bill, if you don't mind, what kind of third-party battery did you? Watson or Walker?
Well, there's one called Watson,
Yeah, that's what I got.
which is one that I got when I had the D750. I forget what the name of this one was. It was recommended on one of the Z8 websites. But
Why don't you send a link? And I mean, not to discourage you bringing it, but we can scope it out and maybe have better questions to ask.
yep,
So,
we'll get to it next time.
okay, thanks, Bill.
Cool.
It's amazing how dark it looked in there, and I didn't notice it at all.
I didn't either.
You know,
I
over
didn't
there
notice
at the
much.
bill.
I was surprised.
Always forget how I'm gonna do this.
Well, the change of light is a little bit like my hair. Over time, you just don't notice stuff. Yeah, to think that I used to have a fro.
Oh,
Chuck is making us all feel bad.
I still think that I have brown hair, that's been quite a while.
Oh, that poor boy.
I guess I could. My daughter to help me out.
Share screen. All right, let me do a couple of, want to get rid of those.
You recognize that?
Okay, Bob is up,
Okay,
unlike his figure.
so, yeah, the mistake I made is I didn't get his name. But anyway, this was at Duke Chapel, there's a burial crypt downstairs. And, just thought it was a little different,
Yeah.
1/25 of a second, f5.6, and auto ISO, and, that was it, it was a really neat place to take some pictures, the hallways of, I know Frank's been there, and,
Yeah, because I did that gate, is this just beyond the gate? They had three there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, just beyond the gate downstairs. So, but the hallways, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of good places to take pictures
Oh,
at Duke Chapel.
I was too scared to go downstairs.
Yeah, well, I got my courage up, but I didn't get his name, so that's my bad.
I thought it was, no, yeah, okay.
So,
I'm impressed with the lighting. It doesn't seem to fade. Were you using a flash?
What, say that again?
I'm impressed with the lighting.
No,
Were you
I
using
did
a
not.
flash?
I did not use a flash.
Wow.
I think, yeah, his head appears brighter, head in the pillow,
He's got a-
than the rest of it, but it turned out fair, I think.
Was there something shining down on him?
I think there's a window up
Okay, yeah,
above.
because obviously his face is lit up,
Yeah,
and you see the shadow.
yeah,
But it's kind of effective
It is.
to have it be his face.
Maybe that window was put there for that reason.
That's right.
Nice shot, Bob.
Nice.
good.
This is Bob's as well.
Oh,
This was, I was in Hillsborough, there's an art shop on the corner of the main street. And it just happened that the artist was there, and those are her two paintings that she did.
Hmm.
Oh, nice.
So I got her artistic impression, so it kind of worked out for me. But again, that was pretty much the same settings, 1/25 of a second shutter, f5.6, and also auto ISO. It was pretty dark after I took the picture, and I tried to use exposure, and that helped a little bit.
Lighten it up.
Yeah, to lighten it up some, but I wanted to lighten it up even a little more, and I couldn't quite get it where I wanted. It was one of those, I think everybody's maybe had after you're done and you're ready to submit, where you say, I'm not really wild about my pictures this week.
The lighting is great on there.
Yeah.
It is nice.
Now, what you can always remember too is you have Photoshop elements.
Yeah,
Before you open up the file, you can open up Camera Raw.
Yeah.
And Camera Raw gives you the ability to change the temperatures a little more than if you just go into the regular Photoshop elements. So you could, you might have that little yellowish tinge.
yeah,
You may want to change, you may want to make it stronger or less strong. You can do that in that.
So after I take the picture,
Now, once you open up Photoshop Elements,
right,
go up to File on the top left.
okay,
And then you'll see the drop down, it'll say Open Raw, Camera Raw.
oh,
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just gives you a little more
Leeway.
flexibility. It's almost like what Lightroom would be to
Yeah.
Photoshop, where you can change the exposure, the brightness, black points, the white points, contrast, everything. It's a little more finite than
that's
the
interesting.
standard.
Okay, great.
Because I noticed with that, with raw processing, you get so much more leeway in processing and adjusting.
And you can even, click an auto adjustment and just see if you like that or not. You can
Right.
also unclick it.
Yeah.
I use that a lot, it's a lot faster to process a whole bunch of images that way.
You're right, it does, it is faster.
But you can do that even if you didn't shoot in RAW.
No.
Yeah, you can,
Yeah.
you can open a JPEG as a raw image, and it'll present that.
Oh,
that-
just it doesn't give you as much control.
Right. Also,
Well-
I would just suggest also, that, I don't know if your camera shows a histogram.
Yeah.
But you can, if you're not sure what you're shooting, like, is the exposure, because like, on the back of my camera, that little LCD screen, you can't really tell. Sometimes I'll shoot something, I'll think that's underexposed, but it turns out it's not. So anyway, now it's kind of into the habit, I just push a simple, button, and it shows me the histogram, and if it's all slammed against the left side,
Yeah,
then I know, well, that's underexposed, and if it's all against the right side, then it's overexposed, and so you can get a little bit of.
I have that and I don't use it enough.
I just started using it more recently, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you.
That's good.
And Bob, before we leave this, nobody's mentioned composition, or I missed it if they did. But this is really nicely cropped.
Great job.
All right, Frank,
Okay.
this is not your eyesight. This is,
No. This came from my archives. I took this a couple of years after we had moved down. I was down at the Goat, and I was looking out the window, and there was somebody sitting out at that chair. But because it was such a hot day, they had the air conditioning cranked up, so there was a film over the window. So I took this picture because I was looking for something to give like an impressionistic look. Like something like the French cafe or something where you can see there's somebody there, but you don't know who it is. So the only, this one was shot at 500th of a second. It was at f8 because I wanted to get it more depth of field into it. ISO 200 and 41 millimeter. And the only thing I did was I just, to bring those little red flowers out, I just increased the red in the processing. And for this light, I don't know who it was that was sitting there, who the model was.
That's a great effect.
Yeah, it is, it was interesting, I mean, I didn't go down there with the intention to do it, but as I looked out the window waiting for my order, and I saw it, I said, well, give it a try, take it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
does anybody know what artist this might be?
Monet.
Yeah. I think Monet more than, like, I was looking at, we just saw some Bonnard paintings, and he uses the human form a lot more as his main focus, and he's more subdued also.
Yeah.
Because I tried to do an impressionist thing too with mine.
What artist was that,
Bonnard,
Uh-huh.
well, he's the one, no, I think Monet is,
Yeah.
I think Monet is more like Monet.
This is, yeah.
Okay, thanks for educating us, Chuck.
Sometimes I send out emails on stuff that I find, it's usually on a technical level.
Yeah.
Well, I have this one guy that I follow on YouTube that talks virtually nothing about the camera, but about the shot. Maybe that's something that
Composition,
people would like.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
Well,
Not to denigrate others you've done, Frank, but this one may be the top of the pile.
Yeah, this was taken last week when Bill and I went with the Chapel Hill Club up to Steve Long's farm up in Roxborough. And I had looked at some other, I wanted to try to get more of an impressionistic photo out of this, but I had looked at some online and I saw, some barn scenes. So when I went up there, went up with the intention to look for a barn and try and do it. And the only thing I did to it, this was shot at 60th of a second, f/13. Again, I wanted to get a wide or long depth of field. It was ISO 1000. And let's see, I had everything on there. And oh no, I'm sorry, this one was 1/500th of a second and f/8, ISO 200 at 41 millimeter. And so the only thing I did was I went into the processing, I looked up on a YouTube video how to try to make an impressionistic photo out of a regular image. And the only thing I did, I followed the steps I had, is I went into filter and I used the soft brush, or the dry brush, and tried to push it a little bit, and then did a little bit of an oil painting. I didn't want to do it too much and blow it out, overdo it. So this is what I came up with.
It's terrific.
That's
And-
a great picture.
And the clouds cooperated. They did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great picture and would be without the clouds, but the clouds, I think, really make it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, what you have in the foreground is.
yeah, I love the light on the grass.
Very nice, yeah.
The shadows on the roof.
Yeah, all,
And everything is super crisp too.
Yeah.
it's a great, were you using a tripod?
Print it big.
Were you using the tripod or handheld?
Oh, handheld.
Yeah.
I bought the tripod, but we were photographing some horses, trying to get some portraits, and I didn't lug it with me, when we walked up to this area.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
terrific.
you.
Okay, Michelle is the next up. She was planning to come but could not. I told her that if the Zoom works, she can pick up comments on the the video. She did something interesting. I sent everybody a note about this. But the first one from her, this is not her photo, but this is, oh, come on. Jackson Pollock, that was her inspiration, and this is her shot.
Oh, that's really cool. Love that guy.
It's like the gods are angry.
Yeah, quite a cloud out of the sky.
It's interesting.
Oh, also on my Apple TV, I guess it's like the screensaver, they have a shot underwater of a wave breaking and there's some similar patterns.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
Doing that, so cool.
that is great.
yeah, it's a good photo.
The contrast in the colors is pretty amazing. The
Hmm.
blue, turquoise blue with the gray, I wonder if that was something she edited or?
And I didn't ask her, but she has been using her iPhone, but I don't know that this was done with it, but regardless, it's a good photo.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice.
And then her second one is based on Wythe.
Andrew White.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now that's his, and that's hers.
That is.
Looks like a ship. Off of that.
Good work, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tom is next.
This is really ironic. Okay, so I thought, oh, this is a good project, and so I thought this is a good project, so I started looking through stuff, and I thought, oh, yeah, it looks like Andrew Wyatt. So then, but basically what I learned was that I can't remember anything about art history, and particular painters, but I looked at that and I thought, this looks like Andrew Wyatt. But that last photograph was also Andrew Wyatt, and then so I went to Andrew Wyatt's sites, and I realized, oh, this guy had paintings that were all over the place, and we were seeing that. Anyway, I thought that this had that rustic look of Andrew White paintings, and the palette I thought was very Andrew White. So the one that Michelle showed us was completely belies everything that I had thought. So there you go. But I if you think about Christina's world or something, those colors.
Well, that looks more like what I remember of Wyatt, like you say, the palette.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally see that.
That kind of.
Well, it's Tom's palette too, because I'm betting that some of those highlights that really make the shot were tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, that light.
So on the ground?
On the
Yep.
ground, yeah.
The stump, is that something?
Yeah, I think I've probably put an extra light in there.
Yeah,
It's really perfect.
yeah,
Nice
Yeah.
shot.
incredible
And then,
shot.
yeah, light on the top of the branches behind, like all the twigs and.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, that's kind of like snow, because a lot of Wyatt paintings have bits of snow in them. But anyway, I showed it to Alice, and she said, yeah, that's good, Andrew White. So,
Yeah.
thanks, Michelle, that really makes me look.
That's really, really good.
It's a great choice of artist, I think.
Now, the name on this next one is one that's really, really familiar to me, and it's not because it's from art, but from a TV program.
Just saying TV's not art, Mike.
Yeah, so this is Hieronymus Bosch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's the TV show.
so what this is an extreme close-up of a crown of thorns plant. That I kept going into and into and into and into and into.
Which circle is this one in?
Yeah, well, I think, I don't know, probably,
Yeah, probably the first circle,
yeah.
the least hellish.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way worse.
Yeah, this is nothing.
Anyway, those spikes look fleshy and could easily be people.
It's very cool.
Yeah, he does all kinds of, just really out there of torture and,
It's like an extraplanetary
Yeah.
terrestrial thing.
You can just imagine falling on it.
Well, I took this a while ago and I went back and looked at the plant yesterday and I thought, well, whoa, where exactly? It doesn't look anything like it. It's got spikes on it.
there's another picture in this.
Yes, right.
There's a lot of pictures in there.
This was down to, I think, 900 kilobytes transformed, so upscaled, so it probably is, 1 or 200 kilobytes. So it's way.
I mean, you didn't use a macro lens or anything.
No.
Yeah, you just like shot it and then zoomed in.
Kept going in
Yeah,
and it didn't pixelate. But the upscaling really helps.
Well, as usual, Tom, terrific stuff. Lynn is next. Oh,
Wow.
So this is in Montana. I can't remember if it was the Waterton side, I think it was, which is in Canada. The Waterton Lakes National Park, but there had been a huge fire there. So I think what you're seeing mostly are dead trees. But it just kind of reminded me of a Monet
Yeah, it does.
sort of picture. I do have the stuff on it, so it's F16, 70 millimeters, 1/50th of a second, 250 ISO. Are you wanting to crop it? I see your hand up in the air.
Yeah. The background, the trees are absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
The one
That-
down right.
That down on the right is just,
It's distracting.
yeah, but boy, I mean, that's why I'm saying that up above, that is
It does look like a painting.
yeah.
was trying to do that, but there we go.
Oh,
Can you, yeah, you can see the line sort of, but
Yeah, if you block out.
Or were you talking about all of the foreground?
Say-
cutting out the wall.
Lynn, did you do anything to the image, processing wise?
No, I'm sure I processed it because I shoot in RAW.
Okay.
But you didn't apply any filters?
No,
Filter,
no, it just looked like that.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's great.
beautifully done.
You know, you might be able to clone that,
Yeah. that's
tree
what I was
out
wondering.
down here.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'll play around with it.
Cause the rock or whatever is behind it is kinda nice.
Yeah,
Good suggestions, thank you.
this here is really interesting too.
yeah, green,
Some sign of life, when
yeah.
Yeah.
the rest is kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
nice.
So this was taken with a film camera, with black and white film. So I really, other than it was 100 ISO, I really don't, I think it was shot at about f.2 or 2.8.
So, yeah, that's why the
So you can
background,
see it really fades off, which is
yeah.
fine, I think.
What's your dog's name?
Taco.
No, real name.
Her real name is Dakota,
Oh, Dakota.
but it soon became Taco. She's a pretty good model, actually.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with all that whiteness? You, automatic or,
No,
you said it was film?
it was film, so I did process it in Lightroom. I think I toned down the highlights a little bit.
So you sent off the film and then they gave you back a digital copy as
Yes,
well as,
Oh.
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Well, and not necessarily an artist, but a technique. And Timothy could better answer or talk about it, but the whole scene is what I call a high key, where it does almost look overexposed, but it turns everything. Love this picture.
Yeah.
I like
Catch
that.
lies.
Yeah, I got the catch light in both of her
Yeah,
eyes
yeah.
and.
My question is, how did you make her be still that long?
That's a great question.
Sorry, what was the question?
How did you make her be still that long?
She's pretty good.
Does she ever react to when you have the camera, does she change her behavior?
She's so cute.
She's been on numerous Christmas cards and. Anyway,
She's a model.
yeah.
Any particular artist you were thinking
I just put it up there because I took it in the last 2 or 3 weeks and I liked it. So there you
I
go.
do too.
All right,
Perfectly composed.
all right. Kathy is next.
Thanks. Yeah, no. That's from last spring, Canadian Rockies. I actually took that out of my brother's pickup truck going down the mountains about 45, 50 miles an hour. And,
No brakes.
yeah, I took a lot of them, they came out great, but, this is actually after one of my own paintings. I do a lot of watercolors, and the trick with watercolors is the sky. And so the original photograph, actually, it's very gray, it's all grayscale. So I added that lightning in the upper left-hand corner and the pink. And I sent these to my sister, and I just asked her, is this like boring? Yeah.
It's serene, it's not boring.
I'm
No,
sorry.
It's serene.
yeah.
All right.
Right,
good.
yeah.
Well, thank you. And, I really struggled with this whole project. It'll be more clear in the next photo. But anyway, there you go. I'm interested in any comments people have.
Well, it does look like a watercolor.
Uh-huh.
And the thing that drew my eye immediately was the upper left-hand corner.
I love the lower left-hand corner. And, I wonder if, how cool it would look if you cut that mountain out. And just looked at the bottom.
Oh, huh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Just the clouds and the.
Yeah, just, no,
He's talking about getting rid of all the mountains.
cut the mountain out entirely.
Yeah,
Oh.
I see what you're saying. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, that one.
Actually, I have
just
some
love
shots
that
that are kind of
color.
like that.
That's beautiful.
Pretty good color, the composition, the way it's the angle, instead of being straight across, I like that, it's kind of leading. And that, that there is that segment in the lower left that shows the mountain too.
It's a really good
In fact,
shot.
If I remember right, I may have darkened, just a tiny bit on the left-hand side, either the mountain at the top and at the lower left. I should have taken a note, but I think I did, remember, right?
So,
Sorry?
you know what the rule of thirds is?
Yeah, I do.
So that's the only thing I think about.
Mm-hmm.
The mountains are kind of smack dab.
They are in the middle.
They could be higher or lower,
Yeah,
but, I mean, it doesn't apply to every picture.
yeah.
Really good. This is Kathy as well.
I like that.
That's Moody, if there was Moody.
Yeah.
Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists. I'm sure everybody knows Starry Night. I did take a lot of star photos. There's too much ambient light. There's too much, town light where I live. So I went back to this one actually before, I think I took that a few months ago. You see in the lower right-hand side, you see a little bit of orangey. And there was actually a lot of that from my neighbor's house. And I'm still learning the software, so you can see I took a lot of that out, but I left enough that I didn't want it to be, okay, it's back. And there was actually more spatterings of moonlight coming through some of the trees on the left and a little bit of the bottom, and I took a lot of those out. Fooled around with brightening the moon a little bit, but ended up putting it back, just liked it the way it was.
Yeah.
I wish the photo was a little bit off center, but when I tried cropping it back, I like things that are asymmetric. I think it's a little, fairly often it's a little more interesting and dynamic, but it just didn't work for me. So anyway, I thought, well, my sister liked this one, so there you go. I don't know what else to say.
Well, to me, I mean, it's a really nice photograph, and I like the moon's doesn't blow out completely. There you can still see clouds going from left to right, but I think this is one that would really, really jump if it had a frame around it. And I guess that's a message to everybody that wants to do a dark photo. It's gonna, even here, it's gonna help, but I think it changes, and I think this is the exact border of the photograph.
I think it is, yeah.
And it just changes it, but it's great.
Great shot.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I really like that.
I love taking pictures of the sky.
Yeah.
Love them, so, well, thanks, that's good to hear.
All right, Chuck is up.
Whoa, Jeff,
This is from, this summer, Mont Saint Michel, and it was out of the bus window. And you can see a lot of my lens spots in there. Some of those spots are software induced, and some of them were actually there. But anyway, I just was messing, I really like Impressionist paintings, and when I started this project, I didn't have a particular Impressionist painter in mind. I just was thinking of, well, what are the things that I remember of Impressionist compositions or effects. And so what I didn't do in this project is allow myself enough time to play around with the various filters that are available on Photoshop. For me, it's Photoshop Elements, but, so, because I went in and chose various images from my catalog and thought, okay, these might convert to an impressionistic, treatment. So then I started playing with them, and this one came out pretty good. And I don't remember exactly what I did, but I think, like the brush, it was like the brushstroke screen, and there was the
There was one,
watercolors, there was like a watercolor screen, there were like 3 or 4, and so then I would save the image as a JPEG and then go back and open it again, and, because sometimes it wouldn't let me stack various effects one on top of the other, so I would go save it and then open it again and, mess with it again. So I can't say what exactly I applied, what screen I applied here, but I just kept playing with it, and I thought, well, that kind of looks like an impressionist painting.
it does. I remember playing around, going into the filters, and you go to pixelate, and then there was another drill down you went to, and you got something like this effect.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were on that second screen, you could make it more harsh or less, and
Yeah.
tone it down or increase it. But yeah, it definitely has a impressionistic feel to it. What was in the background? What was the picture?
It was basically the sky, blue sky with green fields in front, and, I didn't really apply rule of thirds, and I shot it straight on, which also sometimes, usually I try to avoid that, having the object, a primary object, right in the center of the image. But you can see some leading lines coming in from the left and the right, so I left it on the original image because of that. And when I took the image, I didn't think much of it, but then after I sat with it a while, I kind of liked it, so I kept it.
Now, was that a castle on that?
It's a world cultural landmark. It is a kind of a castle, but it's a monastery that I don't know what century, 13th century maybe, 12th century. And it's in Normandy, and it's separated, that big rock is separated by a bay that a tidal, and it's, in fact, just recently it was in the news because it washed out the newly constructed since about 2016, where they fixed how people access it via vehicles and stuff, and anyway, it washed it out. And when I was there last summer, I just couldn't imagine the water washing it out again, but it did.
You showed some pictures of it, and
Yeah, it was like deserty, very dry, and blowing sand everywhere, and
How far away were you from the image?
that's probably a mile or so.
Wow.
Like the contrast of the blue sky with the green.
With the green, and then a little bit of yellow, yeah.
so the sky is schmutzy, kind of.
Yeah.
And is that because of the filter?
Yeah, mostly because of the filter, like that, all that kind of gray texture-y stuff, it wasn't visible in the image, and it was kind of a milky blue sky, it's a very light pastel sky in the original image.
I kind of like it, but it's, also don't like it, but.
Yeah, it looks dirty, it looks.
Yeah, after I looked at it.
Yeah.
You said you took it through the window of a bus though, right? Maybe a glass?
I did, possibly, but I think it's two things. I think it's an extreme application of a filter, and I also think there's quite a few of those spots. I had to clean my sensor.
You can put in a different sky.
Yeah, I could switch it out.
Different
Yeah,
sky.
I love
Nice
that.
sunny sky with palm trees.
I like going
Or
hard
if they
filters
get
more.
eclipse coming on.
Oh, that's great.
And this is
Is that Monet's house?
Wow.
I think it is Monet. I think it's Giverny, but I can't remember exactly which. No, it was a different chateau, and I forgot to note the name, but it was near the Loire Valley. So it was. We did stop at Giverny on this particular trip, but this one, I was just trying to get that light, that like really strong Mediterranean sunlight and, but then blur everything so that the colors just sort of, like you're hallucinating. And, like you're on some kind of psychedelic or something. And, the only thing I didn't like about this one is that chunk of leaf, that clump of leaves in the lower right, it's too detailed. It looks too much like a photograph to me, but I couldn't get it to, I didn't know how to go in there and blur it more. But I did, there was so much, after I applied the filters, the sidewalk was way too bright, so I did go in and apply selectively on the sidewalks, I took the highlights down, is what I did there.
So that was just a straight up photograph and then you applied this?
Yeah, it was a straight up photograph of this garden. It was just, I just shot a photograph. It was just kind of more like a snapshot, really, just to show this garden. Because it was middle of the day, super harsh light, very contrasty. And I was just kind of documenting where we were. It was just a pretty place.
The filter did such an awesome job on the flowers, but the greenery looks,
It looks like a photograph.
yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't look painterly, no.
I wonder what's up with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's the way those things work. Maybe it's something to do with the color and the texture.
Come on.
Convert it.
But they are still, they're not sharp, which would make it even more look like a
Yeah.
photograph, but
And that
it's,
crop might work too. Look at that
Oh,
crop.
yeah, on the wall, it looks terrific,
Yeah.
but on the stuff on the ground, it looks.
On the roof.
I like how the roof came out too. And the sky, in the photograph, the sky was pretty much blown out. But so the filters added back a little bit.
yeah, you can see some clouds.
Yeah.
Good work.
Yeah.
No, thank you. This is a good extra.
All right, Helen is up next, and the first two are inspirational, and the last two are the photograph. Oops, I don't know. Oh, come on, there we go. And who was this, Helen?
Vincent Van Gogh, which I've learned and now forgotten how to say his name correctly, but it's something like Van Ho. I can't get any better than that.
I thought it was like a Flemish, like a
Yeah, it's,
Well, that's one,
yeah,
and then there's that one, also Van Gogh.
yeah, both of them are Van Gogh. And I tried. You can't see it from here, but none of the filters seem to work very well, so I actually took that out.
Well, you can see texture in
Yeah,
it.
you got the texture.
It looks like canvas.
Yeah.
There was not as much from the filters in the photo editor, so I actually put that in as a document in Microsoft Word, did a little bit in Microsoft Word, and saved it back as a JPEG, brought it back as a JPEG, and played with it some more in Affinity, put the border around it.
Well,
I
and
figured that out.
good work on the frame.
Yeah, but I wanted the filters to do a lot more, and they didn't.
Oh, I like the blue you chose for that.
I could have, hearing you guys saying that you stacked the different filters, I think I might go back and try that.
Yeah.
And see if it will improve.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And then that one, I found that spotlight in the lighting part of Affinity, and that wasn't in Van Gogh's, but I liked it, so I left it.
Yeah, this is really nice, Helen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, you can move it all around, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
had so much fun with that that I forgot
So-
what I was doing.
Yeah, this is really good.
Anyway, I went plain and simple, and I do not understand that type of art, and the other one particularly, I've brought pictures,
Good one.
weird, that's all I could say.
All right. And then Bill.
Man Ray.
Okay, this is the kind of work you get from a person who has had no art background whatsoever. And when he did take an art history class one time, if it wasn't for his wife doing the at-home work to send in, he would have failed. So, Monet, Renaissance, all this stuff means nothing to me. So what I had to do is think totally differently, and particularly being in the Chapel Hill Camera Club. There's some folks there that chase solar eclipses. They'll do all these fancy things, which I guess some of our people from art in the past has done some really neat stuff. But my mind doesn't work like that. So I had to take a picture of the eclipse. So this is the eclipse as the light was shining through a tree onto asphalt.
Oh, okay.
So you can see all the mini eclipses through it.
Oh, so you did more time lapse?
Nope, that's just one
One shot?
shot, yep.
When there's an eclipse, if you're looking at the shadow on the ground, you can see it, the disc, yeah. Like, see it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, up until yesterday afternoon when I took this, I didn't have an image to send in for artistic impression, because it's just not the way my head works.
But that background is asphalt?
Yep. Plus I converted to black and white too.
I thought you mashed up two images there.
No,
Looks
Like
like
a
a
star.
space shot.
I am the laziest person you'll ever meet.
There was a tree branch up there, it's like a little twig.
Oh,
Yeah. It looks science fiction-y to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
To me, it looks like a space shot.
Yeah, exactly.
while the D850 was doing a time lapse, I was walking around with the other camera just trying to find this kind of stuff. Because I remembered from 2017, I took some pictures of some of the white benches over by the goats and the chickens in Farrington Village. And they're really defined there. And I even found an old pair of the glasses for the eclipse and put it on the bench from 2017. So I figured I might be able to find something again.
Yeah.
This was shot at like 5.6, it was 1/10 of a second, ISO 64. It was just,
Wow.
and, yeah.
So do you know these photographs of Man Ray?
What?
Man Ray? No, you don't.
Perfect, that's the name of the artist, man.
Oh, well, see,
That's perfect.
yeah, I know like 2 names of artists.
Well, then, there are 4, Bill Cole.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the downside when you tend to be more technical than cerebral.
Bill, I don't know exactly what you're saying there, that's.
No, I mean, I couldn't have thought of anything except this. I mean,
That's very
you know, the
abstract.
work that Frank did on his, I mean, Lynn shot, I mean, you know, people did some really good stuff here today, and
Well, you-
quite frankly, up to yesterday, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
I
and,
said, I wrote him a note saying I was sorry he didn't have a photo, and I guess after that, he did this. We-
like I said, with the Chatham Hill Camera Club, there's guys that actually chase them.
Yeah.
And then we had a presenter there one time, a guy from Montreal. And he would go up to places like Splatbar during eclipses. I mean, the guy would just travel the world taking eclipses.
Wow.
Book yourself a seat on one of those planes that goes up and, you know, there are specific flights so that you're guaranteed no clouds and.
Yeah, that'll fit my budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That is wild.
there's one last shot. Kathy, you want to set this one up before I,
yeah,
it's not on the theme, but it's a really interesting photo.
yeah, just before I joined the club, Susan was telling me about the topic of photojournalism. And this photo was printed in the New York Times. It's the Boston Marathon bombing. And it was such an incredible photograph that I saved it. And then,
So did you take this?
no, I wish. No.
Wow.
I think this was in like the top 20 or top 10, or I don't remember, but it won a Pulitzer, I think.
And actually, I had trouble emailing on the left, in the original photograph, there's a guy in yellow who's also very much in motion, and I couldn't email it to somebody or other I sent it to. So this is the cropped version. I didn't find that until after I'd sent you this one. But the runner on the ground just died.
Oh,
Well, you know, he lived in his 90s, and
So you mean,
so the Times was doing a story, an obituary on the runner, and they either reprinted this or brought it back to mind or something. I sent it to Susan, and I just think it's an incredible photo. She did too. And again, I wish I still had that one with the guy on the left in the yellow, but especially the cops, their physical attitudes, that woman on the left with the gun. I mean, I just found that an amazing photo.
And you can tell it just happened within
It
seconds.
just happened. They're all looking around.
right.
What's going
Two
on?
outer guys are looking around into the crowd.
It's unbelievable.
Center guy's looking down at the
Yeah.
victim.
And actually, the good news is the runner was not hurt. He just fell
Just
down,
knocked to the
he
ground.
got up and he finished the race. It was like 50 feet maybe. But that's the photo, and I'm so sorry I didn't find the original with the guy on the left in the yellow, but the colors are unbelievable.
Yeah, everything about it. is
It's
so
just
clever.
an amazing shot. When you think of that professional photographer standing there, this happens,
Right.
and they get that shot. Wow. So, you know, that's it.
They were probably waiting at the finish line. to
Exactly.
shoot it, Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I just thought it was great and thought I'd send it along.
Yeah.
This may be too much minutia, but look at on the right, the guy's hand.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like they added some Tom behind that hand so that it stood out
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lighten it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
they lightened it up, you mean?
Yeah.
Like that?
It looks like it's like a arm, a rounded arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, great photo. Have to try to figure out if it did win an award. But, all right,
Is that it, Mike?
that's it.
I got one I'll just throw up there for a second.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Couple of planes.
That was the International Space Station.
Oh, the one on the right?
Yeah,
Or
the
is
one
it
on the right,
Yeah. That's the space station?
yeah. And then
That's the plane, Yeah.
a small prop job just happened to be running almost parallel with it, because his, navigation lights are flashing.
Yeah, strobes, yeah.
That's beautiful.
that's a great.
They're just over at the Camden kiosk there.
I so wish I'd had a camera. One night I went outside and saw the train of satellites going
Oh,
over.
it's
and
like
all these-
bizarre.
Starlink.
Spooky.
I walked in, I thought, oh, you space aliens? That's a great picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So was that time lapse too?
Nope, that was just an individual shot.
Went longer.
How many seconds? That was 30 seconds. Let's see.
Well, every one of these meetings, it surprises me at what came out of them. I had no idea that we would see some of the great stuff we saw today.
Back in my house.
That's beautiful.
And since I had the camera out doing the International Space Station, I've been wanting to go down in the woods and just face up and get the stars between the trees before they fill in. Because once they fill in, I won't be able to do it. And the lightness on the trees is actually a street light that comes over the top of our house, and that's where it happened to fall.
Yeah, it's really fun to look at images of, night image, long exposure night, and just see like how much light there is from everywhere. Yeah,
My eyes did not see that.
right.
My eyes saw maybe a third of the stars.
Although now that I've taken photographs like around my backyard, and now I know exactly where the light, I see it now, but I don't know, I didn't before.
How long is the exposure on that thing?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I was shooting some of them at 60 seconds, but there's too much star trails that start,
Yeah,
Right,
it's
yeah.
in between, they just look
Yeah,
blurry, you
because
know,
the-
yeah.
because I have a 17 millimeter lens, and that's, doesn't give you enough to go to the 60 seconds.
Yeah,
And the camera does go out to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, most cameras go to 30 seconds, and then you go to bulb.
Yeah.
So this thing
15
was,
minutes, wow.
so
All right, you all, very good meeting. And we'll see, I hope we will see this on YouTube, but I don't seem to have much control over that, but thank you all.
What's our next challenge?
Multiple exposures.
Multiple exposures.
Bill, we're gonna need some help on that one.
Yeah, because you're saying.
Okay. Goodbye.